Hi everyone, welcome back to the ACT Expo. I'm here with Don Burnette, the CEO and founder of Kodiak. So Don, firstly, thank you for taking the time. I know it's a busy expo. You guys are showcasing the product here that we'll talk about on the floor. We did the podcast not too long ago. It was great to dive into, where Kodiak's head's really at, some of the real world challenges. I was hoping today to walk through the vehicle that you've got on the floor here. We'll talk about some of the hardware, and if you want to point out some of the areas that, hey, we were struggling with durability, but we found ways to overcome those hurdles, kind of ground us in what we're seeing on the truck that is unique to Kodiak, and then we'll dive into some of the engineering behind it.
Yeah, sure. So I think it really starts with our SensorPod solution, where if you look at the truck, it's a clean sheet truck, right? The only thing we've modified from an external perspective is the SensorPod, which we're mounting here just below the A pillar, and nothing else. That makes maintenance really easy, because what we heard from fleets is when you have sensors up on the top, it's really hard to get to them. They're up high. You have to get like a gantry, or you have to have a ladder. That creates inefficiencies. It creates OSHA concerns. And we also wanted to build it in such a way where you didn't need any specialized understanding in order to do any kind of maintenance and repair. So just starting from kind of the base platform, first of all, it's a universal pod. Yeah. So this is the same solution we would use on this ruggedized Peterbilt versus another OEM make and model. It's the same pod that we would use for an industrial application as we would for a long haul application. The only thing that changes is the mounting bracket, right? So this is custom to a specific vehicle type. And then from there on, if you're a fleet with multiple makes and models in your fleet, then you can use the same pods for each one of your trucks.
So this is the adaptation bracket in effect, and from there out, it's copy paste. You'll mix and match the colors in the application.
That's right, of course. Yeah, we can mix and match the colors, and then from there, this entire pod sits on a single spindle, right? So with just a few bolts in the back and a few bolts in the front, it holds it really rigid onto the frame. However, there's a couple really cool features that we've implemented. First of all, these front bolts here, those are calibrated shear bolts. And because it's on a rotating spindle here, if there's an impact from the front, those bolts will actually break away at a certain force, and the entire pod bends inward and becomes protected by the outer section of the truck.
Yeah, so if you were to draw a hard line based on all these other interface points, you allow this, given a certain load, to just get out of the way.
To just swing out of the way.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've discovered in the field is that there are a lot of mirror strikes. It's a very, very common thing in the industry, and it mainly happens while trucks are parked and other trucks are backing in next to you. Right? And so it's almost always in this direction, and it happens by the back corner of a trailer. That's the most common. And so we wanted to protect against that because we have a lot of expensive equipment here, right? We want it to be breakaway safe. We don't want it to get damaged every time somebody nicks it, because in practice that's going to happen. So I think this is a really unique design that we've obviously been working for many years to perfect, and it's something that we've really taken through its paces in production. These trucks are out there running in the wild 24/7 with lots of reliability.
When we go further inboard, I look at this. This is an impressive sensor module here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of technology and cost, as you pointed out, associated with this. How sensitive, from the engineering side, how sensitive were all these components to the movement and the vibration of the mirror? And then did that drive anything internal to the truck structure, tapping plates, reinforcements, et cetera?
So it's a trade-off between vibration dampening and strength, right? Ultimately, where we came to is we want to have this maximally stiff relative to the frame in order to ensure strength, as opposed to worrying about kind of vibrations. And then we've done extensive testing to understand the vibration characteristics and the shock and vibe characteristics that we're going to experience in the different environments. And then we've spec'd the pod internals to be able to handle those loads and handle those profiles. There's various kind of specs you can look up, like there's mil specs and other types of specs. We created the Kodiak spec based on our understanding of what these trucks are going to go through. But just to demonstrate as an example, this is incredibly strong. You can hang from it, and I can do a pull-up if I'm strong enough, but this is not going to budge at all. And in fact, I don't think there's anybody super close to the truck. You can shake the entire truck by pushing on the pod.
Wow.
So it's incredibly rigid,
Yep.
even though it has this breakaway feature that we just talked about, and it sits on a single spindle. So there's a lot of engineering that went into making all of these different characteristics work together
Yeah.
in a way that it still allows the autonomy brain to have the good perception that it needs to make good decisions.
Well, and what you said to me that resonated was it's not just the external structure stiffness and specs in terms of the physical architecture, but it's all the envelopes that those sensors must operate in this unique environment. What I hear is like requirements trailblazing.
Yes.
That's a requirement for Kodiak to exist, is the company must be agile enough to, one, understand the engineering, understand the problem statements, and engineer their way into this area that is relatively unblazed trail.
That's right, and we're starting from scratch. There's no book you can look up. There's no information you can pull. ChatGPT can't even help you with this type of problem.
Spec.
That's right. There's no spec. So
Yeah.
we had to go figure it out ourselves.
Yep.
By putting strain gauges, putting accelerometers, and going out and collecting the data and analyzing the spectrum and all that kind of stuff over thousands and thousands and thousands of miles in different environments. And then you can slowly build that spec up over time. And then, of course, you test it, you find problems, you iterate. We're on the 7th generation of our hardware design.
Yeah.
And so what you see today is a really refined example of where we started. And we think ultimately that this is the type of solution that the market is going to want.
So I love what you guys are doing. There's a lot of design of experiments that are kind of culminating in what we're seeing today. So everyone looks at this SensorPod, but obviously Kodiak is focused on other areas around the vehicle as well. So can you help walk through like what other components are providing a more holistic system on the truck beyond just the SensorPod?
So on the external portion of the truck, that's all there is, right?
Okay,
so we don't modify.
So these cameras
You got me.
Okay.
So there are these cameras that we've added. It is true. This is actually the only other one that we do.
Yep.
So these are used for clearing. So we call these our clearing sensors. So they are fisheye lenses that allow you to see almost perfectly down the front of the truck there and completely down the side of the truck. And we have one on each side. These are not a part of the autonomy system. So the autonomy system is not using these cameras, but what we can do before we launch a truck, we can ask our remote operations center to log into the truck to see and make sure that the area around the truck is clear. And now typically these days with our customers, there's also somebody on the ground that ensures there's nobody, the old problem of somebody hiding underneath the hood of the truck or, in front of the wheel. You can't see it with your pods, or they're ducking right there in front. Like, how are you going to make sure that doesn't happen? And that's what we use exactly for this.
So this is really just at the onset startup, make sure there's no pallet jack here or
That's
something, right?
No
Like
pallet
this
jack,
is clear.
Nobody hiding there,
Yep.
jumping in. And once we've cleared it, then we can track things coming in and things going out. So
Yeah.
then the autonomy system takes over, and even though there's a blind spot directly in front of the engine right here,
Yep.
we know nothing is there because we haven't seen anything enter that frame, and we knew that nobody was there or nothing was there to start with.
So it's not just freeze frame data, you're referencing back in the recording and saying, yep, nothing entered that zone.
That's right. We're tracking that the entire time that the system becomes engaged, from the moment that the operator says, yes, I'm clearing this truck, to say there's nobody around it.
Yep.
Then after that, throughout the entire operation, we're always checking to make sure that nobody's entered the vicinity around the truck, unless that's the intention, right, if somebody's there.
Right now, looking at this being the primary, right? This is the integration. This is all of those things. What is the limiting factor at this point from making this an 8th generation? Is it at this? Are we at the point now where it's like, if we look at our partners, we look at the state of the technology and all these things, if we look at all the envelopes that are contained within this module, that's stopping us from getting any more shrink wrapped at this point? Or is there something else that we could do to get to an 8th generation?
Yeah, I think the next frontier is going to be to start to peel back some of the technology that's in the pods.
Yeah.
So we've taken a throw the kitchen sink at it approach. We have LiDAR, we have camera, we have radars on both pods. There's lots of redundancy, there's lots of coverage around the truck. We of course want to maintain that coverage around the truck, but it's a pretty expensive system today.
Sure.
And as you know, there's a couple ways to down cost this system. You can remove components, you can engineer your way to a slicker solution,
Yep.
and you can also get improvements with volume and scale.
Yep.
And so it's really all three of those simultaneously. Now we think about that as we move into the next generation.
Yep.
What can we take out of this that we just don't need?
Yep.
What are some cheaper versions of a component that we may use today that we could use in the next generation of the truck?
Yep.
And then how do we make sure we have the demand profile to support more expensive tooling, right? Because you can always start to go from bespoke one-offs to injection and all kinds of different manufacturing processes, but you have to have the scale to support the tooling and the bring up and the upfront costs.
Yeah. Which one of those is going to take the lead and at which point in time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think one of the things that we had chatted about on the podcast was the intersection points between safety factor, redundancy, the hardware overlaps. How much of that can AI fill in realistically over what period of time? And when do we call the ball on whether or not we're going to change hardware? It's not an easy thing to go and flesh out.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the challenge statement right now. So Don, I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else here on the, that you'd want to share with the folks here at ACT or, online about what Kodiak is doing as a snapshot of today?
Yeah, I think the most important message to take away from is really that this truck is in production in some sense, right? We're here at the Roush booth. Roush is actually manufacturing the solution and delivering it to customers today.
Yep.
We have, as of the end of last year, 20 trucks deployed with our launch customer, Atlas Energy. So these trucks in this color and this spec are out there running in the Permian Basin. They're delivering sand up to 3 trailers at a time, 275,000 pounds of gross freight. So this particular Peterbilt it looks like a standard Class 8 truck, but it's actually the beefiest of beefy Class 8 trucks with reinforced chassis, reinforced steel, like heavier, stronger suspension to support a lot of load.
Not all Class 8s are equal.
Not all Class 8s are equal, which most people don't realize. And so it's not the most fuel efficient, but when you need a rugged job and you need to carry a lot of load, this is the type of truck that gets it done. And we want to keep our solution agnostic to all those kind of underlying details. Yeah. And that's really where we're excited to bring this to more markets, more customers, more makes and models in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the message that I took down is that it's real. It's a real application. This isn't lightweight stuff. We're not hauling around, goose down.
That's right.
It's something legitimate. I think when we were at the Bosch booth, the metric that I saw was over 12,000 deliveries. I'm sure that number is larger and growing.
It's growing.
That's meaningful. That's helping you guys understand what this thing's really capable of.
Yep.
And paint a clearer path in the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the time, Don.
For sure. My pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.